This next guy, I like him. He's a good friend of mine. Jeffrey Phipps.
Tom Brown, everybody. Let's keep it going for Tom Brown. That guy will blow you for less than $100 million, I guarantee it. I know he said $100 million. That's a starting price. Come on. Anyway, we're at a comic book store. Kang got arrested. I don't know if you're familiar with this. The guy who was in Ant-Man, Jonathan Majors. I don't know if I'm breaking this news to you. Hopefully I'm not. Hopefully you already know. Got arrested last week for knocking around the girlfriend. All right. Yeah, it's unfortunate. My concern is this: when does Marvel start locking up these actors? Right? Because he was getting his own movie, an Avenger movie. It was called The Kang Dynasty. Right? It's like 2 years, 3 years now. Who fucking knows? Right? It's somewhere down the road. It's the next Avenger movie, and this guy just fucking ruined it for Marvel. And you know, the next guy they sign for this, they're gonna give like an FBI background check like nobody's business, right? Because that's where this is gonna have to go, you know, because he done fucked it up for everybody. Recently got arrested, or not arrested, I didn't get arrested, like Jonathan Major. No, I got pulled over for speeding, because I like speeding, all right? I have gotten a ticket every year for like the last 20 years. I've gotten like 20 tickets in my lifetime. All right, we're not talking like, you know, recreational speeding here. We're talking professional speeding, right? I believe that the speed limit is like, you know, a suggestion, not really a law, and they keep pulling me over and telling me it is, right? So I got pulled over coming back from Lake of the Ozarks in January. Terrible time to be at Lake of the Ozarks, by the way, just for your vacation trip. Don't go in January, it's awful. The roads are cold, you can't go out in the boat, nothing. We were there anyway. I got pulled over. Give the license. The blonde hair, blue eyed cop, this is important. I gave him my driver's license, okay? And he comes back and he's like, I'm not gonna give you a ticket. And I was like, you're a moron. I'm going to speed the second you walk away from me. You think at some point I would learn, but I'm not going to, but sure, give me a warning. And he's like, yeah, so I'm gonna give you a warning, here's your license back. And I was like, thank you, smiling, because, you know. And he goes, oh, by the way, for demographic purposes, what are you? And I'm getting ready to answer, and he goes, you're Filipino, right? Just jumps right in, he doesn't care. And I said, no, sir, I'm actually Native American. And he goes, oh, really? I'm Osage, what are you? I don't know how many tickets you've gotten in your life. Again, remember, this guy is the master of getting a ticket. There is no section on the ticket for actual tribe. So you're like really fishing at this point, right? And so I had to, you know, he'd already told me he's Osage, you know, and I was like, well, I'm Micmac. And he's like, yeah, I'm Osage, it's awesome, right? And I was like, yeah, Elizabeth Warren, it's fucking great, isn't it? And then I drove off, and the second he was out of my distance, I immediately cranked it back up to 90. My girlfriend's in the back of the room. This is a true story, ladies and gentlemen. So my thoughts on Elizabeth Warren, I don't care what your politics are, and I know I'm playing at a pretty liberal place, but if you get tricked by Donald Trump into taking a DNA test to determine whether or not you're Native American, and you're only like 1/27th Native American, which is like 0, you don't get to be president at that point. I'm sorry. You can be a senator for life, it's all good, but you don't get to be president anymore. Like that's, I'm sorry. But the thing about Elizabeth Warren now is that I tell that joke, which is a true story, and I have to defend being Native American now. Like people genuinely ask me, I've had to pull out, since I've been telling that joke, I've had to pull out my Ancestry.com DNA kit on my phone and prove it like 3 times now. So my mom is from Northern Canada, like we were talking about with Tom. I was born on the border, and I was convinced my entire life that my mom was full-blooded Indian. She's from a reservation, right? You just automatically assume she's full-blooded Indian. But my girlfriend back there, speaking of her, got me a DNA kit a couple years ago for Christmas. And it turns out I'm only 35% Native American, and my dad's not my dad. And I got a half-brother named Michael Jordan. Not that one. And I took that personally. So, awesome. So I told the cop, I'll tell you, I'm Micmac Indian, right? You've never heard of that. You have no idea. We don't have a treaty with the United States. If I told you like Navajo, you'd be like, oh yeah. We're famous for 3 things, okay, as being Micmacs. First, that we met Leif Erikson and the Vikings when they arrived in Canada. The second is that we're the tribe from Pet Cemetery. Oh. So when my dog Twinkles died when I was 10, you know, I buried her in the backyard. I waited 3 days. And that dog didn't come back. Stephen King's so full of shit. And cocaine. So, and then the third thing, I just found out this third thing, right? And again, this is, I wish I was kidding. Nothing I say is jokes up here, ladies and gentlemen. I am just telling you how unfortunate my life is. So the third thing is this. I was performing at an AA celebration for people who are clean and sober. And I mentioned that I was Micmac, just like I did now. And they started giggling and laughing. And I was like, okay, that's not the punchline, but sure, we'll go with it. And afterwards, they're like, oh, did you know, like, the guy who wrote, like, the book on AA is a Micmac Indian. And so they're all looking at me like, he's one of us, you know? All I could think about is that now I know that you just think we're a bunch of alcoholics, right? Which we are. But anyway, so I told the joke about the DNA test, and my sister came up to me recently, and she's like, you know, I haven't even come to your shows. And I was like, yeah, I noticed. And I had a fundraiser for a school, and she wouldn't come out. And I was like, you could have came out for that one. She's like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it because I'm really offended at that joke about the DNA thing, about our dad. And I said, what are you mad about? He's not your dad either. So another thing that's been happening since I'm Native American, I'll tell about 2 more Native American jokes, and I'll stop because I know you're thinking to yourselves like, Jesus, does he have anything else? Not really. So the other thing is that people come up to me after the show, right? Like I said, they want to know if I'm Native American or not. But another thing is they want to talk to me about weird things like politics and stuff like that. You know, like I mentioned Elizabeth Warren, I mentioned being Native American. They want to know my stance on things. So somebody came up to me after the show and he's like, well, what is your stance on immigration? And I was like, look, if you're going to come up to me after a show and talk to me, you can tell me 2 things. One, I'm handsome. And the other thing, I'm funny. That's not funny. The funny part is not the handsome part. That's not the joke. I'd like to think I'm handsome. Anyway, just kidding. I know I look like I've been kicked in the face. Anyway, if you're going to come up to me after the show, those are the 2 things you can talk about. But this person came up to me talking about immigration. And I was like, okay, normally I wouldn't talk about this. But since I've got a mic in my hand and we're here, I will tell you my stance on immigration. You can all leave. That's right. You can just go ahead and go, catch a flight, bye, see ya. This is our land anyway. Then you can come back, visit the casinos, and then get right back on the plane and go again. The other thing about Native American is that being Native American is, actually I'm going to close out just being completely, I'll do a couple. Yeah, I got a couple of minutes. Thank you, Tom. One is that people are casually racist to you. It's the only race you can be casually racist to and get away with on a regular basis, right? So people come up to me and like, hey, Jeff, you want to do some shots of firewater at the bar? Just giggling. They think they're having a great time. They're like, oh, you look cold, man. Would you like a smallpox blanket or something to keep warm, you know? Still giggling. My girlfriend one time, she was like, hey, try not to dance on the way to work today. I don't want it to rain. Oh. I know, she's terrible. She's shaking her head no. Because she really never said that. And then the last thing is, I had a girlfriend's dad, and not this one, buy me an arrow. Not a bow. Not a bow and an arrow. Just an arrow. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Shank the buffalo? You know, just run up and try and shake it? All right, so I said I wasn't going to do any more, but I am going to do actually one more. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much, Apotheosis. You guys have been great tonight. So the last thing is that I look Mexican to 2 specific races of people. white folks. And the reason why I know that is if I walk by their table at a Mexican restaurant, they'll ask me to refill their salsa. And it's a joke. And true. But anyway, and then the second people are Mexicans. And I was at a train station in Chicago. And this lady come up to me, and she was Hispanic. Give me 1 second here. And the reason I knew she was Hispanic is because she started speaking Spanish to me. I'm not going to describe her to you because that's your stereotype and not mine, but she's speaking Spanish to me. And I don't know why I said this, but this is what I said. I looked at her and I said, Lo siento, señorita, no hablo español. Now, people are laughing and you're not because what I said was, I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't speak Spanish. In perfect Spanish. So now she just thinks I'm stupid and starts talking slower, still in Spanish. Now let me be honest with you people. I know 2 phrases in Spanish besides that one. I know, puedo ir al baño, por favor, which is, can I please go to the bathroom? And I know dos margaritas aquí. So then I had to apologize and I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't know what came over me right now, but I don't speak Spanish at all. Well, apparently she spoke English because then she said, fuck you, gave me the bird, and stomped off. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been Jeff Phipps. You guys have been great. Thank you so much. Let's bring Tom back up here real quick while he's trying to figure out this thing. Thank you. I'm going to keep talking.